Hello and welcome to Senior Moments with Western Arizona Senior Living. My name is Christy Newport and I'm a Senior Living Advisor with Western Arizona Senior Living. And we help seniors and their families navigate through the assisted living process. And we serve all of Mojave, La Paz, and Yuma counties. Each week, we get together with different people in our community that serve seniors as well. And so this week, we have Jamie Hindley, and she is a senior insurance broker. So Jamie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. So tell us a little bit about you and why insurance? Like, how is it, you got into insurance to begin with?
Well, I used to have a flower shop where I used to live, and when we moved to Arizona, I didn't want to have to deal with the weather. So I had done insurance years before and decided to get back into it here. I didn't start in the Medicare and health side, but it transitioned into that when I was dealing with some issues that my mom had. When I dug into her story and found out that she should have had more assistance, I knew that there was people out there that needed help that I could provide them.
And it really is. I think it's a big, vast thing that is insurance, especially as you're a senior, right?
It is. It's I had no idea, and they don't teach you this in school. They don't teach any classes. There's not really any knowledge, and you have to try and go through this all on your own.
I think agents are so valuable to be able to work through all of this stuff. Yeah. So on that note, what kind of services do you provide, that would be specific for seniors?
So for seniors, I help people that are on Medicare. Some people might want a Medicare supplement. Some might want a Medicare Advantage plan. Some might have Medicaid and need a program that works with Medicaid. I have dental and vision plans, hospital indemnity plans. Really, everything is catered to an individual person. So if they need a prescription drug plan, we look at all their prescriptions to find out the best plan for their situation.
So if, let's say somebody didn't know, I don't know, what's an Advantage plan? So would I know that? I just come to you and say, hi, Jamie, help me. How does that work?
I try and educate my seniors, especially when they're turning 65 and they haven't been on Medicare. I show them all of their options. Here's one option, here's another. This is if you decided not to take anything, what your exposure could be. And then I let you make the choice. Try and get a list of prescriptions, list of doctors, and so that you're making an educated choice on your own.
Yeah, and I would imagine that as we age, right, we have different ailments that come that are age related that maybe we didn't have, that we weren't thinking about when we were younger. So that's probably relevant information too. If someone's diabetic or has a heart condition, right, that's something that you would look at the whole picture. Absolutely. And say, you've got these, and these, and because you have these, and these are the recommendations that I would say.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things I didn't realize is that you have to have, there's lots of different supplementals, right?
Yeah, so Medicare gives you typically you don't pay for it because you have enough work credits from, working through your life, or you can get it on your spouse. Then you start paying for B, which seems to be going up every year. This last year, we had one of the biggest increases in the Part B premium.
What is Part B?
Part B is the hospital, lab work, x-rays, that sort of thing.
Okay.
A is the hospital part and hospice.
Okay.
So B is all the other little things, things that you would use more. And then Part D is the drug plan. And for some reason, they decided to label Advantage plans Part C, which makes no sense. But that's what they do.
What are Advantage plans?
So Advantage plans are something that works with Medicare, but Medicare kind of takes a back seat. And now what you have is a managed plan through an insurance company instead of Medicare being in charge. Medicare still sets some standards, but the insurance companies they, I guess, correlate all your health plans.
So is it when you say it's managed, you mean Blue Cross Blue Shield kind of? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, so managed by different carriers. So, in our area, we have several different carriers. So some people might have a preference. Honestly, they're all good in different ways.
So you would just help them discern all of that information. And like I said, you've got these conditions, this is going to be better suited to you.
Yeah, and everyone's situation is completely different. So, what's good for one person is not good for the next. I've had married couples where I put them on two completely different plans. If you're listening to your neighbor say, oh, this is the best plan, that may not be the best plan for you. So,
and I imagine that somebody could, and that kind of goes into the next question is reviewing plans. Like, should people review their plans annually, biannually, every couple of years? Like, and do they just come in and say, here, this is what I've got? Like, how does that happen?
So yeah, it's very good to look at especially your prescription plans every year. Okay. Every single year, the formularies change, the plans change, the prescriptions that are in, or the pharmacies that are in network change. So it might have been a great plan this year, and next year, not so great. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I see issues with is prescription part. And so that could be built into an Advantage plan, or it could be a standalone plan. With a supplement, so we didn't really talk about that earlier, so that's another thing that if you had regular Medicare, you would have just a supplement, a Medigap, or it has so many different names, but a Medicare supplement plan, those are good to review every couple years because they do increase in price every year. So if you want to look and see if you qualify for a better price, that's when you do it.
So again, because I don't know, and I'm just assuming people don't know out there, the Part B is not the supplemental plan that you were just talking. Okay. No, so these are all different. These are all different things that. So what do you feel? I mean, you're going to tailor it to each individual person as to what their needs are, but kind of like what are the basics you should have this. Like if you were going to get car insurance, right? You got a new car, you've got to get liability and collision, right? So what are
and you don't want to use it.
Right. But these are things that, these are the things that you should have. These are the minimum coverages that you should have. So like what's a bare minimum that somebody...
Well, that really is dependent on the situation, but you could have just regular A and B and a drug plan. But what's happening now is you have a 20% coinsurance on so many things. You're going to pay your Part A co-pays for hospital stays, and there's no cap to that amount. So if you have a huge hospital stay, or you're in and out of the hospital, that could be 20% of what? It could be a lot.
It could be a lot. Right. It's not unheard of for hospital stays and those kinds of things to be $100,000. That's a $20,000 bill.
Exactly.
For your...
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, there is some control to it. So, if like you're in a hospital for 2 weeks, it's roughly $1,600. I can't remember the exact dollar amount for the Part A deductible, but it's the 20% on all the doctor's fees, the imaging, all that sort of stuff. So there is some control, but it really is unlimited. And if you're there, several times a year, it can be very expensive. So that's where you could either pick up a supplement plan to come in and pick up the rest of that. And the only expense you'd have at that point would be your Part B deductible of this year, $233.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a good option. And then the other option would be to have an Advantage plan that has a maximum out of pocket on the plan. It works like, your employer coverage or group coverage that you have, or even Marketplace. They're very similar. They all have maximum out of pockets and co-pays and stuff. So those can work too.
And senior plans, just like the Advantage plan that you're talking about, is different than if before you're 65. Right? It's like very different. Like I would not have the same insurance policies or insurance coverage that a senior would, and it wouldn't have anything to do with my age.
Correct.
Right. It's just the difference because Medicare is involved at that point.
Yeah. Medicare's involved. They make the rules. And they say if you don't have a drug plan, they're going to penalize you. If you don't take your Part B when they tell you to, you're going to have a penalty. And it's also very difficult to get into a Part B. So they have rules on when you can apply, and they don't make these very well known. Yeah, it is written in their booklet, but how many people are going to read the 200-page booklet that they send you?
So when should somebody come to see you? When they're approaching 65, before they're 65? I mean, pre-planning if you know.
So pre-planning, if you're turning 65, probably ideally would be, 64 and a half. So we can look at all the options and you can, have some time to think about what you want to do. Then, if you're over 65 and you already have a plan, really anytime, if we can always sit down and look at your situation. And then if there's something that we can't do, like if I can't rewrite your prescription because it's the middle of the year, then I reach out to you again in the fall. So every fall I send out letters to my clients, and they list all their current prescriptions and their doctors and their current plan. And then I will enter that into the computer program and it'll tell me the best plan for everyone.
That's great. So, yeah. That's great. We have a lot of veterans in Havasu, in Arizona, and all around this. So how does that, they could be getting VA benefits or they may be a disabled vet. How does that work into the scheme of that insurance?
So depending on someone's disability rating and their income, depends on how much assistance they can get through the VA. So I just sit down with a veteran and see what they're doing. Some already have a supplement. Some might qualify for some sort of advantage plan that will work in conjunction with the VA or with TRICARE for Life. So they do have options, and again, that is very personalized, how much they're using the VA, what their disability, what it's caused by, and what they're already covering. But a lot of those veterans don't want to always see a VA doctor. They would like to see a civilian doctor. We are lucky here in our area because our clinic allows them to see many doctors in the area. But that is not how it is for the majority of the United States. Any other place, you have to go to the VA clinic. So if you don't agree with what they say, they do not have to pay for a second opinion.
Right.
So
that's something definitely. So you would just kind of coordinate look at all of the different variables and say, this is what we do.
Here's your options. And maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe they have excellent care and they're happy with what they want to do, and that's fine.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but at least you have knowledge. Options. You have options. You have the different scenarios, and then you get to make the informed choice of whatever it is that it's going to be for you.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. What are the biggest challenges that you see that seniors face when it comes to this kind of insurance coverage?
So, there's a couple things. So number one would be the advertisements on TV.
They're all over the place too. You
all year long,
all the time, especially during the day. So if you're watching TV during the day, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get hit up by, is it JJ from
Joe Montana. Who's the other one that's new? Oh, George Foreman now.
Oh, right.
So what they're doing is they're trying to sell you to call in so that they can sell you something else. So many times these call centers that you're calling in, they are not advertising a plan that's in our area. They're saying, oh, you can get so much back on your Part B and you can have this and that. Well, we live in rural Arizona. We don't have those options. So usually when someone asks me, I say, well, do you live in Orlando? Because you could get those there.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have known that. You just blanketly think that, okay, yeah, it's got to be for everybody. And they really make it enticing too. I saved so much money on this and I so much money on that. And so,
Yeah. And so I have compared some of the plans that might have a better dental or better vision plan, but that same client is going to really get hurt with their prescription costs. So you have to look at everything, and compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. Just because you're going to get an extra, extra something, doesn't mean that plan is excellent for you. So maybe your doctors aren't even in that network anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing to do, that you want to go to a specific doctor, and how do you, and they go in and out all the time, right? As to what's going to happen. Yeah. So I understand that with, signing up for Medicare, we come to see you at like 64 and a half, because it takes over at 65, right?
Correct. So there's a couple instances there where it might be a little different. if you're not taking Social Security, then Part B is not turned on automatically. You actually have to call in and turn it on. You can do that 3 months before your birthday, or the 3 months before your birth month, and 3 months after. So there's a 7-month window. If you're already collecting Social Security, then it does automatically turn on. So those people are pretty safe. But if you're not turning on Social Security till maybe 68 or 72, you're going to have to turn on Part B on your own.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you don't, they not only do they penalize you, but they don't allow you to sign on at any time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like an open enrollment time? Is there another open enrollment time in case you missed it? Or
yeah. So I had a gentleman last June call me, and he's like, hey, I'm 67 and a half. I'm going to turn on my Social Security, and I need to sign up for Medicare. And I'm like, you didn't sign up for Medicare yet? He's like, no. And I said, well, we can't sign up for Medicare until January this year. So that was 6-7 months after we were talking. And I said, it won't go into effect until July of this year.
Of the next year. Yeah.
So 13 months later, he could get coverage. So because he was eligible for Medicare, he couldn't get a marketplace plan. Income-wise, he did not qualify for Medicaid. So he really had to go without
insurance for like
time.
Over a year.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like, wow. Yeah. So it kind of sounds like the takeaway is, see Jamie before you're 64.
I don't cost anything.
Yeah, that's a great question too, is like, what are the charges? Like, how do like, do you charge for your services? How does that happen?
Yeah, no, I do not charge for any services. So my knowledge, my education to you is completely free. The insurance companies, they pay us. So, you can call and ask any questions. I can walk you through everything. And you don't have to pay anything. So.
Yeah, that's again, so valuable. It's to be able to get free information and be able to utilize yours and not have cost of your services be a inhibiting factor for that. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they don't call brokers like us because they think it's going to cost more money or be more expensive, when really it's not. When we can sit down and look at everything, we can bring those costs down, maybe enhance your benefits, and everything is better for you.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And it's so valuable for our seniors because it can be so confusing and so many different moving parts. You think that you're going to get into your older years, your later years, and think, oh, I'm going to coast. And that is not the case. It's a lot of different variables to try and manage.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we paid into Medicare for how many years? And really, it's pretty expensive, for someone making $1,500 a month and paying $170 for their Part B. That's over 10% of their income just for health insurance. That's not cheap. Yeah. And Medicare's not the best by itself. There's big holes in it.
Yeah.
So
tell us, how do we find you if we want to have more information about how to just maybe just a policy review, right? Of just saying, okay, this is what I've got. Can you do better? Can you do better?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, right. But who knows, right?
Exactly,
what's...
Well, so my email is a good place. So jamie@jamiehindley.com. So JAMIEHINDLEY. My phone number is 702-483-7099. I have an office, but I'm not normally there because I do visit seniors in their home or, wherever's convenient for them. So I'm not usually there, but I can definitely meet you there. So, a phone call, an email. My website is jamiehindley.com. So several different ways to reach me. I'm on Facebook. I don't think Instagram.
But I think that's a big deal. I think being able to meet seniors where they're at, because we both know that a lot of times mobility issues are challenging for seniors. And so to be able to have that service, to have somebody come to them wherever it is that they are is invaluable to our seniors. Yeah. So we really appreciate that. Yay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Jamie, for being here today. day. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's Senior Moments, and have a great time.
See you later.
Bye.